Shalom. First off, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazak Bob with the GMS Nebraska camp. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is how we see the system of the MOTB being set up globally, based off of different things that we're seeing in the news and steps that these different countries are making. We see that, the whole world is moving in the direction of the MOTB, and these different countries, they posture by, making different economic, moves against each other, such as BRICS, making their currency and things of the sort, and, claiming that they want to separate from the U.S. and not do business with them. There's tariffs being placed and stuff like this. But ultimately, all these countries are going to be on the same accord when it comes to the MOTB, when it comes to, this global reset of a system that, will go, where the RFID chip will be the centerpiece of it. We read about it in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, where it says what? And let me make sure my mic is on real fast. Yep, it's on. When we go to Revelation 13 and 16, which says, "And he calleth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." When it says he calls it all, this isn't just speaking about America. This isn't just speaking about, NATO and EU. This is the whole world. It calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And we have to understand that this isn't just going to be, a flip of a switch where today where, cash is still being used and, we're under the system we're under now. And then tomorrow we wake up and then the MOTB is implemented and we're using digital currency only and these different things. No, there's provisions and systems and infrastructure that has to be set up for this system to be completely implemented. And so I want to look at a couple, headlines, from things that are going on around the world, where we see these countries moving in the direction for the MOTB to be instated. For example, let's go to ainvest.com, where it says Vietnam's 86 million bank accounts to close and push for cashless future. And I want to read this paragraph here, which is really the point. You can go to the website to read the full thing, but it's a short article, and this is really the point here. It says that the SBV reported that Vietnam had approximately 200 million bank accounts as of 2024, but after verification, only 113 million personal bank accounts and 711,000 organizational accounts are considered active. Mr. Tuan attributed the slight decline in the percentage of banked individuals. About 87% of citizens aged 15 and above had bank accounts in 2024 compared to 87.8 in 2023. Here's the point. It says the SBV emphasized that accounts without verified biometric data would be closed by 2025 to reduce vulnerabilities to scams and fraud. The move reflects Vietnam's ambition to transition toward a cashless society and strengthen its digital financial infrastructure. We see Vietnam is moving in this direction. The same thing that we see here in the U.S., where we're seeing more technologies where we're evolving from cash to digital money to biometric payment systems, to where we're getting further and further away from this current system that we're under. And it's getting to the point where, it's going to be a thing to where if you want to buy and sell in this society, if you want to fit into Esau's society and use this cash or use, with the things that's going to be ushered in to replace, cash, it's going to be a get down or lay down type of thing. Like we see here with this situation in Vietnam, to where if you don't want to get with the biometrics and move with how they're moving to get to move toward a cashless society, to move toward digital financing, your bank account could just be shut down completely. So if you don't want to rock with the system we bringing in, then you can't have no bank account. And that's ultimately what it's going to be when the MOTB is fully instated. That's why it says in Revelation 13 and 17, it says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." It says you won't be able to buy or sell unless you get it. And so we see we're moving in that direction. It's the same, we see in the U.S. Trump passed the Genius Act to bring in stable coins, which is ultimately a CBDC, which is going to serve to replace the dollar. Because this stable coin is going to be one-to-one pegged with the dollar, and there's going to come a time where in the bank accounts that we used and all these banking institutions, you're going to have the option where you can convert your dollars to stable coins with no issue. It's going to be a very easy process, and there's going to be more of an incentive to use these stable coins than using dollars. Just like when you go on these apps at all these different food places you can eat at, or these different banking institutions, when you use their apps and use the digital options that they give you, you get incentives, you get rewards, you can do more things than if you just go to the place and give them the cash that's in your wallet. And it's going to be the same thing when these stable coins come out, and it's going to go from you getting incentives or it being more convenient to use these options. It's going to go to the point where that's going to be the only option you have. And unless you use this stable coin, unless you use this system that we're bringing in, then your bank account is going to be null and void, or they'll just shut it down like they did in Vietnam. Now I want to go to the next article, which we're getting, we're kind of moving away from the financial aspect, but this is still in the direction of the MOTB, because it says, Keir Starmer to unveil major move targeting illegal immigration. This is from uknews.yahoo.com. It says, Sir Keir Starmer is reportedly set to unveil plans for digital ID cards for Brits within days as part of his strategy to tackle illegal immigration. Now, don't the U.S. claim that we have the same issue? Isn't this something that is a major point of contention within the country right now, with these ICE raids, with them saying that illegal immigration is on a rise? And we see in the UK, the way that they're tackling their quote unquote illegal immigration crisis is that they're bringing in digital ID cards. And we see when we go further into this article, and I just want to get straight to the point. I don't want to make this lesson too long, but I'm trying to find a good spot that gets straight to the point with it. Let me see. All right, Salaki, let's go ahead and read into it. It says, Sir Keir Starmer is reportedly set to unveil plans for digital ID cards for Brits within days as part of his strategy to tackle illegal immigration. Sources suggest the Prime Minister is keen to press ahead with introducing the digital identification system. And it's going to come a thing to where you can't, migrate to the country. You can't visit the country as a tourist unless you fit in with this system. It says, however, for Starmer, the digital IDs might play an important role in reducing the UK's appeal as a destination for those seeking to enter the country unlawfully. Ministers have been demonstrating growing public backing for the digital ID initiative in recent weeks. And why is this important toward the prophecy of the MOTB? Because when we read in Revelation 13, it speaks about it being something that you buy and sell with. But the thing is, when it says that, all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, are going to receive this mark, that should, bring to mind that this isn't just going to be a financial tool. This is going to be something that, this is going to be the centerpiece to, fitting in society. It's not just going to be what your banking is on. It's not just going to be what your new debit card is. This is what your ID is going to be on. This is what your social security number is going to be on. This is what your digital, life is going to all be on this mark. Because what does it say? It says that free and bond is going to have this mark, which means that there's people in prisons that's going to have it. And what do people in prisons need to buy or sell for? They're not going to be able to go to no grocery store or use these different things, but they still have their prisoner number. They still need to be identified in some type of form. And that's what that mark is going to, suffice for. And that's the thing. We're seeing the gradualism of this system slowly, becoming more prevalent and eventually mandatory, because now there's, more reasons, so to speak, for these different solutions to be created. There's a chaos that's being made in the US by way of, saying that crime is on an all-time rise, by saying that illegal immigration is on an all-time rise, and there's going to be a quote-unquote need for a solution that they'll bring the MOTB the same way that they're doing here in the UK. I want to go down to the bottom of this article where it says, now former Home Secretary Yvette Cooper appears to have come around to the idea, despite her previous resistance to a universal digital ID scheme as a minister in Blair's government. In a recent move as Foreign Secretary this month, Cooper announced a nationwide rollout of e-visas to all foreign citizens. These allow the government to conduct immigration status checks on immigrants generally. This has raised questions about the necessity of a digital ID scheme, as e-visas can already be used to check immigrants' rights. But whether it's a e-visa, whether it's a digital ID, it's going to be some type of digital system that's used, long story short. And it's going to phase out the using paper, whether it's money, whether it's a social security card, for a plethora of reasons. They're going to say you can lose this. This can be stolen. This can be forged, whatever it may be. And this is going to be what's rolled in instead. We look at Sweden, and there's thousands of people who already have the MOTB actually implanted. We look at these different, companies such as Neuralink, Synchron, Stentrode, and what they're doing is they're implanting BCIs, or brain computer interfaces, inside of patients. And we're seeing more and more patients getting implanted with this technology, which is just another form of the MOTB. We look at China and their total surveillance state, which is what you need for the MOTB to come about, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's not to bring a better solution for identification for people. It's not to bring a better solution for banking or a financial system to people. Ultimately, it's about total control, because with paper, with, paper dollars, paper identification, and these different things, these different systems that we fall under right now, Esau wants to have a larger level of control in his hand in the different things that we use in our lives. And this is why everything is going to be digital, and it's all going to be under the grid that he is creating, because nothing will be able to go under the radar under this system. He's going to truly have his hand in everything and truly have control over everything. That's why with these bank accounts, he has the ability to where if you aren't getting with the system that he wants you to get with, then he'll just shut your bank account down. Even if you get with the MOTB and you use these digital IDs, you use all this stuff that Esau is going to be pushing, and you aren't in line with his image, or you aren't, abiding in a way that he wants you to walk, then he'll, shut you out from society. That's the ability and the power that Esau wants to have over each and every citizen, or I don't want to say citizen, but each and every human being on the planet. He wants to be able to control you. He wants to be able to be God over you. And that's why we're seeing all these things be implemented the way that they are, So I just wanted to go into a couple headlines just showing that, it's not just the U.S. that we're seeing, steps being made toward the MOTB coming about, but we see these things happening globally, because the MOTB is going to be a global system, and these things that we're reading about are just examples of what's soon to come to the U.S., And that's why faith, we have to increase in faith more than ever. We have to increase our trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai more than ever and stay prayed up, because it's we're coming into a time where we have to unplug from Esau's system, and we ain't gonna have no job to sustain ourselves, because you're gonna need the MOTB to have a job. You're gonna need the MOTB to receive any type of assistance from Esau, or any type of income. We gonna be unplugged. We ain't gonna be able to go to Esau's institutions like the hospital or nothing like that to get no help, because you're gonna need the MOTB to do these different things. And so we're gonna have to fully depend on our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to be sustained. That time is coming soon. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai B'Harakah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.